Okay, so I'm going to try to the best of my ability to explain what exactly I think they're doing in the market every day to kick this can. Now, of course, this does not change anything. I'm just showing you what I think is happening on a daily basis. So follow along real quick. So we have retail right here who buys a stock from, on average, from a broker dealer, who then, if not turned off, has the ability to lend, also has the ability to reroute through a dark pool. Now, retail is not affecting the average daily volume right now because of this order rerouting. And let's follow along for what is trying to be accomplished by this. So when you buy a stock, it gets rerouted through a broker dealer to a dark pool. Once in the dark pool, it's sitting there, and now you have the option to either short as needed. You can lend if you want. Basically, gives you ample time to game the volume, because it's not going to the exchange, it's going to the dark pool. Now you have the ability to use an as needed basis for your shorting and for your rerouting. So I have these dark pool and short marked in black because these are basically symbiotic. If the dark pool percent goes up, data shows that the short volume goes down. And if the short volume goes up, data shows that the dark pool percent goes down. When the dark pool percent goes down, short volume goes up to keep the price down. When the short volume goes up, that means the short interest will go up. When the short interest goes up, if there's any excess that doesn't fit into this formula here, it's parked into the repo, turned into a swap future via tri-party, and then the whole thing starts over. So it's not an eternal thing, I don't believe, because look at the repo demand, look at the government. We're nearing literally the first time in history default. So it's clear that the whole system is working because it has to work this way. The problem is if they stop shorting, what happens? The price goes up. If they stop rerouting, what happens? We have too much volume, too much buying pressure, which again, the price goes up. So how do you eliminate buying pressure and continue to keep the stock down at the same time? You have to reroute and you have to short. As soon as one of these things stops, it affects everything else. So if a broker stops rerouting to dark pools and goes straight to the exchange, the average daily volume goes up, meaning buy pressure goes up, meaning stock goes up, meaning short volume goes up, meaning short interest goes up, meaning days to cover goes up. So by keeping the volume down and keeping the short volume consistent, or basing your short volume around the reroutes, because if you're rerouting X amount of orders and you need X percent to keep the days to cover at a certain point, that's how they base this whole formula off of. So it's all around volume, short volume, and short interest. Because short interest divided by average daily volume equals days to cover. Because theoretically, and if the true amount of volume were to be on the exchange, the days to cover should be infinite because people are buying and holding. The data is clear. Fidelity shows, and many other places, buy-sell ratio is absurd. We had the entire float voted in via proxy. So you remember those times we see volume spikes after hours and stuff like that? Guarantee you it's to keep this down and to keep this whole formula going. Because let's say the volume gets too low, but all of a sudden there's a spike in short interest. Guess what? That's going to spike your days to cover. So how do you get rid of it? Whenever the short interest spikes too much, they park it. They have to. So just an opinion, but after watching this every day and looking at the market all around, I mean, there's no liquidity anywhere because it's all being used in the secondary markets, ETFs, money market funds, all through these repos. All the cash is with the money market funds because they have to be. So one more time real quick to reiterate. When retail buys an order, likely through a dealer, that order can then be lent and rerouted. If it's rerouted to a dark pool, it's most likely due to keep the average daily volume down and to keep the buying pressure off. Because remember, the whole original creation of dark pools was to give institutions the ability to do large block trades without moving price. So if you're rerouting orders, you're not affecting price because you don't want the price to go up. Because if the price goes up, then you got to short it more, then the short interest goes up, and then that will eventually increase your days to cover. So on paper, they want it to look like everything is, de-escalating from January, when in reality, what's been skyrocketing since January? That's right, the repo market. And to be fair, really not until after the SLR requirements ended, but that's where my theory stands firm, that the combination of apes holding in February on top of the SLR expiring is what makes this have to be the go-to. Because again, if you don't do this, it affects everything else. If you don't do this, it affects everything else. If you don't park this, everything else goes up. So when the center of all this is based around short interest, and if you look at the New York Stock Exchange consolidated interest of short this year, it's skyrocketed. But yet there's no evidence of that anywhere on the individual basis. So anyways, hope this helped. Yeah. Let's go.